to the Associated Guests. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. And today, Chris Cuomo went on a bit of a tirade. Let's see what's going on with that. We're going to talk about how some people don't like what's going on with immigration right now because they just want slaves, apparently. This absolutely baffled me. I just saw this morning, so I only got the one clip, but I'm going to get a little more on this later. Something horrific happened in New York for nothing. Just for nothing, for feelings. Trump did something, I mean, you have to give him props for. No matter what, everyone said it couldn't be done. As far as I can see, it's official. And then I got a story for later if there's time and I don't drag on and on. But let's get into it.
Like him personally, because I know there's a likelihood that he'll respond, and that's fine. I don't like what he has to say. I don't like how he presents it, and I don't like how he chases trends, and I don't like how he is inconsistent and then tries to claim that it's because he's being objective. None of that is genuine. And objectively, Chris Cuomo is incapable of being objective. I haven't forgotten how he broadcast during COVID. I haven't forgotten how he covered the impeachment. I haven't forgotten how he covered Russiagate. I haven't forgotten how...
I haven't forgotten, speaking of COVID, I haven't forgotten when he said, "Oh, I'm finally emerging from my basement." And then a bunch of videos came out of him emerge from his basement during his so-called lockup. I haven't forgotten how he said, calling him, what's the dude from... Hold on. This one, I just remembered this one. What's the guy from The Godfather that is considered a slur against Italians? Fredo. I haven't forgotten when Chris Cuomo said that calling an Italian Fredo was equivalent to calling a black dude the N-word. Clearly it's not, because you're saying the N-word and you're not saying the Fredo word or the F word or whatever. Chris Cuomo has always been a hack. Pretty much anyone in news in general during this era were him and Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson and all these folks. Most of them are hacks, especially the big names. But let's continue.
How he talked about white men being the greatest domestic terror threats. I haven't forgotten about that. And I know he says he's been wrong about a couple of things, but he still keeps being wrong. So yesterday, Chris Cuomo took to his channel to make some flat-out inaccurate statements regarding President Trump.
I mean, Chris Cuomo gonna Chris Cuomo.
And Iran. And it very much seems like he's catering to the horseshoe right, because he's basing it off of the same wrong claims. Here's
the horseshoe right? Okay, so there's going to be some stuff about the Jews.
You want to win the war over the war in Iran? I can help you, because here's what we know. The rationale from the administration for why this had to happen at all, and why it had to happen right now, are both not only wrong, but they lead to an opposite conclusion than the ones that the administration has drawn. The war in Iran is justified. Why? Because the president is right that the regime in Iran is stockpiling highly enriched uranium because they want to develop a nuclear weapon, and they were just weeks away, so he had to do it right when he did it. Okay. Is that true? No.
Is that, and then there were multitude of claims.
And people will just say these things, especially people who were considered or formerly working for respected news sources, whether it be Don Lemon, Megyn Kelly, Cuomo here, Tucker Carlson. It's funny how people break away from news organizations that aren't really known for telling the truth or the whole truth. So help you God. Anyway, and then they just go straight into blatant lies. Joy Reid's another one. It's funny how the most vicious, misleading information will come from people who used to work for actual news networks, or at least mainstream news networks.
Right.
So I'll just say this: his flat out claim of no, well, that's wrong. Okay, we'll get to his claims on Iran here in a second. We'll provide you references, but keep in mind this is also the same guy who claimed that he could dunk on a 10-foot rim and argued with people in the comment sections that this actually was a 10-foot rim. Yeah. Someone in a post argued, not 10 feet, plus shouldn't you be reporting or something? You give the president a hard time every time he isn't working. Shame on you, because he was still a far leftist at that point. And he responded, what a dummy. Wrong about the rim. And he abbreviated about to ABT. I don't know why he did that. And do you trumpets really hold him in such a low standard? If I worked out as often as he golfs, I would be the fittest 50-year-old. Wake up. Also looks like he's losing a little bit of mass right now, so maybe you should get back to that. That is not a 10-foot rim. We found the exact same model number, adjusted for the angle.
And the funny thing is, he'll respond to someone saying that the rim that he claims is 10 feet that he's dunking on at his age, but he won't refute anyone when they call him a liar on anything that actually matters, especially in the political sphere.
At most, it might be 8.5 feet. It's very likely 8 feet. The weird part is that he would lie about it and argue with someone in a comment section.
Yeah.
He's the same guy. I want to be really clear before you let him into the fold. All of that practice, however, did pay off because he's been signed by the Indiana Fever.
Oh.
I mean, he looks about like
Still 10-foot rims,
someone who
unfortunately.
beat the WNBA.
yeah.
I've been advocating for years. I said, WNBA, 8-foot rims. Come on, let these ladies play.
I get it. We also
I'll watch.
Dunks.
I don't even know how to get this next one. It's just because we're childish.
Yeah,
Here's
it's not
something
fair
else
that
fun.
only Brittany Griner can do it.
So, to be clear, we're going to get to a claim truth. There are good faith arguments to be made on both sides of Iran. And I have maintained, I don't know what day we are. I said like 3 months. That's when I will give an assessment and my opinion, and we can have that discussion. But I'm not going to have a discussion that this is a forever war that is directly comparable to Iraq.
Right.
Or have a discussion based on claims that are simply false or are baseless. I think it's totally valid for people to say, all right, Iran is obviously a very unstable nation. There's a reason that no other country in that region, really on Earth, wants them to have nuclear weapons. They certainly were at the point where we would see all of the indicators that they are going to develop nuclear weapons, and we certainly were at the point where they might be able to defend their ability to build nuclear weapons, but I still don't think it's worth the price, and I still don't think this was the right time, and I'm not happy about it. I get it. I think there's a valid argument to say, not the right time, we shouldn't be doing this now. But ignoring data and treating your audience like, as though they're the same level of moron as the host, is not good faith, Chris Cuomo. Time for Claim Truth.
Bing, bing.
All right. And unlike Chris Cuomo or any of these other people in this space who are a day late and a dollar short, we will provide you with the references. We live stream 11 a.m. weekdays. You have a bibliography every single day. First claim from Chris Cuomo. And it's very similar to the wrong claim that a lot of other people make. And I do recommend you go and watch his whole video so that you see we are not taking anything out of context. His claim is that 60% enriched uranium doesn't really mean all that much. Here, watch him.
They are preying on your ignorance, and they are intentionally deceiving their supporters about what the
This is projection.
information means. The more you look at it, the more obvious the deception is.
Oh, this isn't the Chris Cuomo project. This is Chris Cuomo project. I got you.
Now, they're getting over on people. Why? Because they are confusing the non-critical thinkers into believing
yes.
that having
You're very
enriched
confused.
uranium is the same thing as almost having a weapon.
Oh, you're saying that's not the case. Okay, well, here's the truth. No country has ever passed, we could say 20, but I know someone might say, oh, 21. No country has ever passed 30% enrichment and not built a nuclear bomb. Iran is at 60%. So whether you agree with the intervention or not, you do have to accept the factual premise that in this instance, Iran with 60% enriched uranium would be the first country to do that and not develop a nuclear weapon. You want to put that much faith in Iran? This is not discussing the timeline as to when they get to 90%. No nation has passed 30% and not built a nuke. So, assuming that they would be in line with every country ever past that threshold, what do you think they would do with it? They have enough for 10 bombs, to be clear, about 900 something pounds, between 900 and 1,000. And the important component here that people always ignore, same thing when they talk about the JCPOA, is ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles, short, intermediate range ballistic missiles being able to hit Europe, and more importantly, so many missiles and so many drones that they would be able to shield themselves to the point where no one could stop them as they get from 60 to 90, if they feel so inclined or if they are similar to every nation who's ever existed ever with enriched uranium. So let me make this really clear, because I think people are, he says, critical thinkers. You guys let me know if there's anything that you think is incorrect here or that can be explained more clearly. I want to give you a really clear timeline, okay? Here we go. We start at 0%. Bring this up, Toolman. 0% enrichment, that's where you start. Okay, then we go along this path to 30%. That's the next threshold where we find ourselves. No country has passed that point and not developed nuclear weapons. Let's go to where Iran is right now, 60%. Okay, 60%, that's according to IAEA. Pretty much everybody, by the way, the same agencies, the same intelligence outfits who told you that Iraq did not have nuclear weapons. So let's not try and use that argument. So 0, 30.
And also from the country that said that they don't have missiles that can reach Europe, and then immediately started shooting missiles at Europe and hitting certain targets in Europe. Yeah.
60. All right. Then 90% is that point where it's seriously dangerous and it's nuke time. Okay, that's the timeline there between 60 and 90. But because of the ballistic missiles and the drones, there's a separate window. Here you go. America's window to act is somewhere here, meaning somewhere after 30% and before 90% is where a judgment call has to be made. Unless you think that Iran won't use a nuke if they have one. And you would have to believe that they're the first nation ever. So whether it's 31% or it's 89%, we have a window there to stop it if we think a nuclear Iran is a bad thing for the United States or the world. Does that make sense? Now add to that the ability for them to close that window if they create auxiliary defense capabilities of missiles and drones so that you can't stop them no matter what. Meaning they can hit 40%. But then they have so many drones and missiles and basically an impenetrable shield that they can slowly lollygag from 40 to 90 because no one can do a thing about it. There's that window of a judgment call. So the argument here is within that window, people think this judgment call was wrong or right. Does that help explain it to you? And I think that's a reasonable conversation to have.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an impeachable offense. And I don't think that people are stupid if they go, ooh, we're past 60. We're kind of getting towards the tail end of that window. And I don't think it's unreasonable for people to say, you know what, maybe not. I don't trust it. The problem is when you misrepresent it. And I see that everywhere right now. Does that help?
Yeah. And by the way, Trump tried to negotiate once we entered that window.
Right.
It wasn't just like I just went to military strikes. Like he tried to negotiate as well.
Here's the next claim from Brothers Guinea. That Iran wasn't close to getting a weapon, it's all a lie, something.
There is a good basis of belief within the expert community that Iran does not have the expertise, nor does it have what it needs to have in place, even if it did have the expertise, to make the moves you have to make to go from having the enriched uranium, if you could even enrich it from 60 to 90, which is not a given, but is likely, is probable, not just possible.
There you go.
And into making a
okay,
weapon.
so he admits that much.
Can you have a weapon if you don't have weapons-grade uranium? No. Do you?
No, you can still have a weapon. You just can't have a nuclear weapon if you don't have weapons-grade uranium.
Automatically have a weapon if you have weapons-grade uranium? No.
Yes.
Was the regime weeks away from having a nuclear weapon? No.
Okay, here's the truth. Cuomo is
retarded,
misleading you here by omission. But to go
too.
back to that analogy again, he says, doesn't mean it. No, just 100% of historical precedent.
Yeah.
In other words, your window is, if I say I'm going to shoot you and I have a gun and I have a magazine and the magazine is loaded, I put the magazine in the gun. Do you have to wait till it's chambered? At what point do you go, someone says, I am going to shoot you. Death to you, not America, death to Gerald.
Aw.
Taking this
Yeah,
gun,
death to Gerald.
I have a loaded magazine. I'm now putting it in the
wasn't
gun.
serious.
You have a judgment call to make
Bang, bang,
at
bang,
some
bang.
point. Historically, the person who says, I'm going to kill you with this gun, and they have a loaded magazine, they always chamber it and shoot you. It never doesn't happen. Here's the other thing. Iran is close to a nuclear weapon, and sometimes people point to, we've been hearing that for years, as though it hasn't been the case in spite of other efforts. What do I mean by that? Allow me to explain. So first off, a physicist, nuclear weapons expert, David Albright, he said that if Iran has 5 to 6 months to build the probability of success grows to 84%. 84%. He outlined this in an article in 24 under the accelerator program. They could build a weapon in 6 months. Same method Pakistan used. Again, historical precedent. Because of Iran's short breakout time, the U.S. would have pretty limited warning that deterrence with force would be the best way to prevent it from taking place. People have been saying this for a long time, like, well, we've been hearing that. They're 2 weeks away. They're 2 months away for a very long time. Yeah. It could still be true. And they didn't get there because they didn't get there because of the actions we took, in spite of the fact that they were 2 or 3 months away. You guys are aware that, I know you'll go nuts, that Israel hacked their centrifuges with the funniest hack ever, the funniest virus ever that screwed it. It's like straight out of a movie, because they were in the process of trying to. It's like Michael Phelps. People would go, well, you know, he won all these championships and he was eating McDonald's. Well, yeah, he won the championships in spite of eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
Those two facts can be true. They could have been close, and they were, to the enriched uranium that they need, and efforts have been undertaken consistently by the United States, by Israel, by international agreements. That's why the JCPOA existed, because we saw the threat. Again, that window is the judgment call. That's the argument that we are having. Not could they, will they? 100% of the time, historically, nations that have crossed 30% develop a nuclear weapon. Now, here's why, if you want to apply pragmatic thinking. People who are getting well past that threshold, there is no need for it for any purpose outside of a nuclear weapon. They also, historically, 100% of the time, have been recruiting, training up people with the expertise and ability to develop a nuclear weapon. It has never not happened. I hope that I've been clear about that. And if you say Iran was going to get a nuke because they would be in line with 100% historical precedent, and I don't care anyway, fine. Just don't say that we don't know they were going to. It would be an outlier. It would be the first time in history that it wouldn't happen. Here's the third claim from Mr. Goomba, that all of this is a political distraction.
I don't believe in the loser BB, loser his own people theory. I believe that he was told they could do this. It would be easy. He is not sophisticated. He is not a student of war history. And he likes the idea of an easy win. He thinks that Venezuela is the same as Iran. And he wanted the distraction from what was happening at home. That's what I think. The Epstein thing, not going his way. Affordability, not going his way. Getting things done with or in Congress, not going his way. That's why we're in Iran.
Yeah. This is another common trope that people have used. And they use it to say, stay home in midterms, and there's no difference between the right and the left. They say Donald Trump said no new wars, and he betrayed his base. But no, he said no more, no new forever wars. And we are only going to fight wars if we know that we will win, and it will be swift, and it will be violent, and it will be effective. We're not going to find ourselves in another Vietnam or Iraq. Not everything is comparable to Vietnam or Iraq. And it's very, very clear. You may disagree with it. And I disagree with President Trump on a lot. I could say this. His views on abortion, I do not agree with. I have never agreed with. But I voted for him in spite of that because of the alternative. I would not call it a betrayal if Donald Trump said he supports abortion with some limitations that I wouldn't support, because I understand that's his stance. President Trump, here's the truth, has made Iran a focal point, including militarily. For over 45 years, we don't have this kind of a track record from any president on any other singular issue. We have the luxury of him being a celebrity before he ever ran for office.
The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous. That this country sits back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that,
Yeah,
yes.
see, and
Well, that's not
like I said,
happening. Let's go to
of all the
87.
things,
Some of their oil. which
he's
is
been very
along the
consistent
sea.
on this.
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines?
For
Would you take a
decades.
chance in the war?
Let them have
Look, and
Iran.
I'm
You
all
take their
for.
oil.
Look, you can shit on people. I don't care. If someone does something wrong, or that you disagree with, you can shit on them for that. But you can't say that he lied on this, and you can't say that he was misleading or anything. He's been very consistent on this, even during when he was running for his first term, and even when he was running for this one. He said he hasn't started any new wars, which is true at the time, and he said he's not going to start any new forever wars, which will hopefully be true. No one wants this to be a forever war. Nobody. I mean, except for maybe Lockheed Martin and such. But other than them, no one wants a forever war. No one's willing to dump military bodies on this. But it does make me giggle how people who hate the military now somehow seem that they care so much about people who were killed by a stray Iranian bomb that hit a U.S. military base or this or that. Look, I'm all for getting someone where they live, so to speak. No, not the bomb. As far as rhetoric, I'm all for it. But you have to make it known that that's what you're doing, especially when you're online. You can't just throw things in the face of people and expect normies to understand what you're talking about and then get upset because some normie calls you out for this and that. Especially when you post mostly retarded shit for 95% of your things. I mean, I post a lot of retarded shit, but most of mine's for laughs. And then I'll post some, straight facts. And then people think it's parody too, which is always fun.
The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations. And I mean grab it and keep it. And get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
I will stop Iran
See?
from getting nuclear weapons. And we won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry that...
Yeah, Secretary Kerry's a retard. He was one of the few people, when he ran against George W. Bush in, 2004, he was one of the few people that I could ever see that ever made George W. Bush look intelligent by comparison. That's how bad John Kerry is. I will never understand how he became a prominent political figure for so long. I mean, I could say that about a lot of people, left or right. But Kerry is baffling. Biden's another one. Even Obama said, oh, God, what was the quote? It was something, never underestimate Biden's ability to fuck shit up or fuck stuff up or something to that effect. But it was something that was caught on an open mic like 10 plus years ago. But I'll never understand this. Like, say what you want about any other politician, but those two in particular. George W.'s another one. The fact that it was allowed for Dick Cheney to be his vice president, considering his ties, it just astounds me to this day. But anyway, let's continue shitting on John Kerry here.
has absolutely no concept of negotiation.
And by the way, he was saying this all the while he was opposed to the Iraq War and criticized George W. Bush and Barack Obama.
Yes.
meaning they are two very different things, and he has been consistent on both. If you are claiming...
And every single president has said the same thing about Iran. Every single one. Obama, Kamala Harris even said it when she was vice president. And then now all of a sudden, look, I understand not liking Trump 100%. He's an asshole. He's a bit of a pig. He does things that I disagree with a lot. But this is like a boy who cried wolf situation. If you bitch and complain about every single thing that he does, even things that most people have been on record saying that they want done, then it's not about right or wrong anymore. It's about fuck that guy, which I get 100%. I do. I understand. But for regular people, that's fine. But not for a voter base. You can't vote fuck that guy. You have to vote for what you want and what you don't want. You don't have to like who the president is, okay? We're way past the age of liking. I think Obama on his first election was the last time we voted for someone for charisma or whatever. Because ever since then, we've gotten nothing but shithills and pussies. We got, what's his name that ran against Obama in his second term? Pussy. Trump, Clinton, who ran, what was it, Biden, Trump again, Harris, Trump again, shitheels. None of these are likable people, really. Trump has a way, but I don't know. Like, I've seen so many people, especially people who hate him, go and have dinner. Like when Bill Maher shits on him, and he still shits on him to this day. And then he went to dinner with him one time, and he's like, "Yeah, he was cool. He was likable. He seemed like a good guy. This and that. Why isn't that guy out there?" But as far as public persona, none of these people are likable. Ugh. And a lot of people hate Trump because he kept 2 women from being president, and I'm just like, no, but he kept 2 terrible candidates who happen to be women from being president. Whether or not you like him or not. Clinton, one of the 2 most corrupt families in America, a Clinton. We really want another Clinton. And I say this as someone who's from the state that Bill Clinton's from. I used to take great pride in that. Until I realized, what was it? The Chinese Trade Commission thing, that whole bit, has completely fucked our economy long term. It looked good up close. We got to keep prices down on some stuff, but long term, we fucked ourselves. And then Harris literally kept people in prison past their stay when she was what was the DA or the whatever, the Attorney General of California, I want to say it was. She kept people in past their prison sentence for cheap slave labor. Okay, she's thrown people in jail for minor drug offenses and then laughed, saying, "Oh yeah, I used to do it all the time." She is probably one of the most dishonest candidates we've ever seen.
Anything other than that, you are either uneducated on the issue or you are lying to your viewers. You can disagree with Trump, President Trump, in 1980. We're going to deal with Iran, including the military if necessary. In 1987, we need to deal with Iran, including militarily if necessary.
Did I vote for Trump? No. I've only voted for president one time, and it was for Obama the first term. Other than that, I haven't really seen anyone worth a vote, in my opinion. I'll vote for a policy here and there if I feel strongly enough about it. But people will always say, "Oh, if you don't vote, then you can't have an opinion." No, I have an opinion, therefore I don't vote because you don't give me anything worthwhile. Even the third-party candidates. Jo Jorgensen was decent. I liked her VP pick, Spike Cohen. The guy who ran before that, Gary Johnson, lunatic. Absolute retard lunatic. And that's the thing. Most third-party candidates are people who are rejects from the main 2 parties. And I'm not saying that they're idealists who put policy and people before their own self-aggrandizement or whatnot. I'm saying these guys are so unhinged that they make the main two candidates look like decent choices for the most part. Again, with the exception of, I don't know, Jo Jorgensen. I disagree with her on a few things, but for the most part, she seemed like a better candidate. Yeah. But then, you know, a golden hedgehog seems like a decent representative for your party. But then again, I grew up in the 90s, you know, supersonic.
2015 famous escalator speech, in 2016 and 2018, while he wasn't president, while he was, you can disagree with him along all of those points in the timeline, but you would be disagreeing with a remarkably consistent view.
Yeah. And by the way, just really quickly, he's making a really bad argument because affordability, do you think affordability was going to get better when you attack somebody in the Middle East? What do you think is going to happen to the oil prices, even if they don't close the strait?
Right.
Affordability is going to be a problem. And it wasn't really as big of a problem. He was working on that. Jews, now you've got to contend with people saying the Jews, the Israel's just leading us into every single thing that we do, forever wars you mentioned. And also, he was getting plenty done domestically. Everybody acts like the Epstein thing was killing him. It wasn't good for him, but it wasn't killing him.
Right.
Going into this, everyone that was yelling about Epstein would go to a 10 by adding Iran on.
Well, it's a very good point, because that brings me to claim number 4 from Chris Cuomo. And this is why I believe he's still the same leftist who referred to you as trumpets and I think mogtards, whatever other terms he used, while claiming he dunks on a 10-foot rim and it's 8 feet and arguing in the comments section. Like I see with the Marxist right, they'll misrepresent Iran. And again, I'm not talking about people who have sensible disagreements. They'll misrepresent Iran and then parlay that into, and see, all this other stuff, everyone else was right. He's bad on immigration. He's bad on the things that are objectively false, because that's exactly what Chris Cuomo does. Trump is even failing at immigration. Tell me how he doesn't sound like a leftist still.
Immigration. Has he changed any of the rules that matter?
Yes.
Nope. Has he changed the resource structure?
Yes.
In the way that would matter the most? Nope. Why? Processing capabilities, ability to hold with humanity, ability to return.
No.
He didn't up those. He upped.
Well, and the bar for holding with humanity seems to change with who's in power. and honestly, nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing's changed from president to president, how they hold illegal migrants, whether it's coming into the country or on their way to go back out of the country. Nothing's changed. If anything, and really, when you think about it, I've seen some of the facilities. Okay, I've seen walkthroughs and such. If these are accurate videos, then they get better than our soldiers do in wartime, or even in training time. It's not that bad. It's doable for a month or two until you get put through to wherever you're going. Now, if we're talking about they're spending too much time there, then that's something that we can talk about individually in its own conversation, and we can find agreement there. More than likely, there is a lot of reform that we need to talk about, but no one ever wants to legislate anything. They want to give the president and the Supreme Court powers that they aren't supposed to have to push things through that the next guy that comes in can just change their mind about. And I absolutely hate, and sorry, this is a quick side tangent. I hate that the right is now talking about killing the filibuster, which I understand, because a lot of the left is going against what their people like. Look, if it's a left-wing issue, or if it's something that the left as itself or the constituents or people are pulled within the party, and you stand with what the polls say or with what people in your constituency say, and I'm not just talking about the people who are up your ass all the time. That's one thing. But when you poll a large swath of people, it was probably one of the bigger polls as far as how many people were polled. Things like, should you have proof of citizenship or an ID to vote? I think it was like 75% or 80% of left-wing people said yes. You should have some form of ID at the very least. And a lot of those polled said it should be some form of proof of citizenship. Even more on the right. And the fact that not one person went for this. And there's nothing else snuck in there. It's literally just proof of citizenship. Now, if you want to change the credentials for Real ID or have all of us have to go in and get another little stupid thing printed on our driver's licenses in every state all across the country, sure. Why not? The Real ID, in my opinion, is stupid anyways. There should have been a distinction between citizens, green card holders, and anyone else who would ever need an American ID in America. It should not have been across the board, as it seems to be. Absolutely ridiculous. But, and I lost my real point going off on the IDs. I apologize for that. I'm almost 1 cup of coffee down, and I need at least 2 to 3 to function, so we're halfway there.
ICE
He installed a revolving door. We're
created a
good.
brute squad that has embarrassed itself and embarrassed our law enforcement culture in this country.
They haven't. They were attacked. You cannot show me. Now, are there instances where they went a little much? Yes. The Renee Good situation is not one of them. Okay. 1, the guy was on a sheet of ice. 2, this person hit their gas. You can see the tires spinning out. Okay. If you are that afraid of police to where you feel you have to flee, then maybe don't use your vehicle to block a convoy. These are fair weather protesters, if that's the case. But it's not the case. And the people who put these people up to this and who cover for this, they want these people to die. The powers that be don't care about these people. And it's tragic. They're getting mentally ill people. They're getting people who are broken in some way to go out and spend all their time in the street. They don't have to work. They're getting paid. In some way, shape, or form. Whether it's clout, whether it's actual monetization, whether it's a high five or feeling like you're actually doing something. When you're not really. These are the same things. These are the same tactics. Tom Homan worked under Obama doing the exact same thing. And back then, CNN praised them. And they were infiltrating people's houses while on camera for CNN. What was it? 12, 14 years ago, something to that effect. Again, I have no love for Republicans or Democrats or anything. But hypocrisy is something I cannot stand. And if anyone ever finds me being a hypocrite, by all means call me out. I'm here for it. And I'll be like, oh, fuck. No, my bad. No, that's right. I need to reassess or I don't know what I was thinking or whatever. But yeah, by all means, we have to call these things out, whether it's our party or whether it's the opposition, especially when it's this egregious and people are dying for nothing.
Violating the Constitution, violating decency. Yeah, but everybody wants people who aren't here legally to get out. It's never been the question.
What?
I mean,
Sure
for
does.
some Democrats, maybe.
Pause.
They
Entire sanctuary cities where you can't deport a single one. All right, let's finish.
Sanctuary cities and states.
Orders, they don't believe it's a crime to enter illegally.
Chris
Okay.
Cuomo's
But
retarded.
that's not the law.
These people are disconnected from reality and the average person.
And I don't think it's a good political position either, but it's definitely not a good legal position.
It was a political position of the entire Democrat Party. We saw it for 4 years, 12 to 20 million illegal aliens, and they wanted amnesty and a new voting base. Here's the truth. Yes, Trump has changed all those things. President Trump has, and he has massively improved immigration. Is it perfect? No. But by every objective parameters that we could set, metrics that we could use that are quantifiable, deportations, over 2.5 million total. Yes, that includes self-deportations. Border crossings are down 97%.
Failure.
Net migration negative for the first time in 50 years. Asylum claims down 99%.
Yeah.
Refugees being admitted down 90%. Since October 2025, 99.9% of refugees, by the way, are from South Africa, who are fleeing actual persecution and are grateful to be in America, where your stuff's not just taken from you because you're white. Here's a bonus stupid claim. He tries to take a lie to spin another lie based on a lie, and it's just a whole bunch of lying horseshit like him dunking on a 10-foot rim.
They make it sound like, you know, they put out a false stat the other day that nobody really cared about.
They. He says this while referring to President Trump and the administration. Keep in mind. They. Oh, so you think President Trump, the administration. Keep playing.
On social media, and you're allowed to say whatever you want there, free of accountability. That
Which is a problem for him.
A majority of homicides last year were committed by people who are here illegally. It's a complete bullshit, out of context stat. It's completely untrue. And all the people spreading it know it.
Okay, here's the truth. That is an untrue stat. Nobody from the Trump administration posted that.
That's true.
Wrote that. It was something reposted by an account called Gunther Eagleman, who, by the way, often gets things wrong. The Post says in 2024, illegals committed 13,000 murders, or 64% of all murders. That is not true. Here's the true stat. As of 2024, there were 13,000 illegals convicted of homicide on ICE's national docket. So this is a good example of people who don't do their due diligence and circulating some kind of a meme or a fact that other people repost, and it does damage because people who are not acting in good faith, people like Chris Cuomo out there, will try and attribute that to the administration or people who actually do their due diligence. By the way, he's one who doesn't. So when he says they, think about this. He goes, Iran. Well, let me give you a bunch of false premises. Now let me transition to Donald Trump has done nothing on immigration. And let me transition to they don't know their thumb from their dick because they're posting this, which is untrue, even though it's not a post from President Trump. He's a leftist. What he really believes is we shouldn't be able to deport people. We need to detain people humanely. He believes in the Biden approach. How do I know? Because he supported it. Because he supported it. And he also helped silence people who said there was cognitive decline with Joe Biden.
I mean, he just admitted to liking censorship right there.
Right.
I mean, not exactly, but indirectly. Social media, you can say whatever you want there.
Yeah.
Free of accountability.
Yeah.
We should do something about it.
Right.
He didn't say that part, but
the good news is on X, hey, there's a community note, and we do our own community notes where you can fact check us. Hey, if you want a world, Chris Cuomo, if you want a world where people can't just say whatever they want without accountability, by the way, I'm with you. Do you provide references every single show? Would you accept the challenge to start doing that? Every single piece of content you put out, every show, you make sure your references are publicly available, meaning with links that people can click. We do.
He did a couple of times in there. He said, these people say, or many people are saying in the intelligence, cite one.
Yeah.
Cite one.
Right. Right.
Then people would know.
I think Donald Trump has improved our immigration policy dramatically. You're still here.
100% he has. But anyway, I've gone on long enough. Let's get into apparently this lady really wants slaves. Let's get into it.
Oh, God. I was going to look at this. This is really fucking embarrassing. So this woman here, mountain farm owner,
I thought it was Hawk 2 at
struggles to
first.
find workers
And
as
then-
immigration enforcement
another-
tightens.
It's just been harder and harder and harder to find those people to work.
Bethany Gotts owns Quay's Farm in Mountain Home, but now with fewer workers, a lot of the manual labor is left up to her. She tells me she's tried hiring locally, but it's been difficult to find people willing to do the hard work.
Finding a legal
And you'll find out why
American
soon.
here that is going to work as hard as an immigrant is nearly impossible.
As hard and for nothing, for no money. And you'll see.
She even posted job openings on Facebook.
I had 7 people contact me about it, and when I sent them the description, I had no people respond.
Yeah. We're going to find out how.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
going to find out why.
Gott says
And just
the
wait.
increase in immigration enforcement has made it harder to find migrant workers.
Just for context, this is all about illegal migrant workers.
Yeah.
For some reason, the host and the farmer just refuse to say it.
It's heartbreaking because they are living in...
Remember 10, 15, 20 years ago when liberals were saying that we need to find a pathway to citizenship so people, or make it illegal to pay these people such low wages. Now, it's part of their argument as to why they can stay here because, but my slaves.
In fear here, an employee living in fear, and I don't blame them. They could get picked up at any moment, and then you're without an employee.
To keep her farm running, Gotts is now looking into the federal H-2A visa program, which allows temporary agricultural workers into the U.S.
This year, I have endeavored to spend $200,000.
Hold on.
Agricultural workers
Was
into
there-
the U.S.
This year, I have endeavored to spend
golf ball?
$200,000 to build a small worker housing
Slave
so that
quarters.
I can get H-2 workers.
I love how she said
next
small
year.
twice.
You're buying a little slave shack for him. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute.
We
Exactly.
love our workers. They're our family, and they want to work, and they will work hard. And there needs to be a path for these
I call the
people in our
woman
country
Maud.
because our government has failed them.
So she's trying to literally hire indentured servants.
Yes.
She wants them to live on the farm and work 16 hours a day and do it for essentially slave wages. Anyway, people found the job listing. So take a look at this. Ranch hand needed. This is the salary, $2,600.
Housing offered, yes, $26,000 to $3,000 a month. That equates to $36,000 a year, at best. And yes, you get to live in basically student housing or military barracks housing with a bunch of your fellow slaves. Even if you live in the middle of nowhere, this is still shitty wages. This is awful. No.
$600 to $3,000 a month.
By the way, as people pointed out, this is for 60 to 70 hours work weeks on average. That's why they say the
Didn't
salary
know
is
that.
monthly and hours expected are not listed. This is potentially less than $10 an hour of very hard labor.
Experience 2 to 5 years.
It's slave labor. Let's be completely honest. Like, I'm all for getting a great job, like a job as a ranch hand or whatever, especially if you love that kind of work, if you were raised in it especially. I know people who've done it. But damn, dude.
Years looking for a competent ranch hand for 4,000 acres. Position is full-time, permanent, free housing. Oh yeah, you get to live inside of their little shack.
I have endeavored to spend $200,000 to build a small worker housing. So
Really, you got something like this right here. She wants slaves, yeah. She said small twice.
I had 7 people contact me about it, and when I sent them the description, I had no people respond.
Because it's awful. What are we even talking
Would
about?
look like if we just keep importing the third world. I believe this is out of New York on, but they want us to comment.
All right, this one's a bit hard to watch. So for those of you who are squeamish, come back in about 10 or so minutes. But yeah, let's get into this fucking
and on it on.
Well, give me more than that.
I was continuing on what America could look like if we just keep importing the third world. I believe this is out of New York City.
I don't
stomped another girl.
How graphic is it? Because it's tough for me to see.
I
these.
don't think it's super graphic, but you can see it. I haven't seen the video, so I'll have to take their word for it.
Okay. Let's see it.
Here we go.
He's asking for the phone number.
Right now, right? Do it. No, you stand right here. No, you stand right here. You stand right here.
Why is he trying to keep her there?
See, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't know this person. Yeah, sure. Hit me up on X, and we can talk.
Used his phone number.
Oh.
That shit's horrible. And look at this. She's not moving. That girl is out already. And then awful.
Yo,
And his boys are just laughing.
Death penalty.
If that was in a state where I'm carrying, which can't happen in New York, and you see, I would bury him where he stands.
Nothing will happen of this. Nothing will happen. They'll find some excuse. Oh, he was raised this way. Oh, this happened to him. Oh, this. Oh, that. Oh, this. If nothing happens to this, if there's no recourse, this kid will definitely do this more. Especially in New York. because no one's ever punished in New York. You're allowed to do things like this. They are insanely under-policed. And even if you're caught, who cares? The judge will let you off because name a reason.
Are you saying, yes, I would kill him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would kill him in broad daylight. And I wouldn't miss lunch. What you're seeing is not just an act of evil. What you're seeing is a complete lack of regard or any concern that someone might stop an act of evil.
They laughed.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I hope
his
they have
boy
him in.
left.
I hope they have him in custody, and I hope that it hurts. I hope that it really hurts when he's in prison. Hey, is she alive? Dear God, I hope she's alive.
Yes.
Even if she is, I hope he dies.
So the context given, and granted, this is just from whoever posted it, says she's concussed in the hospital. He heads to family court for a likely slap on the wrist. He's 14, she's 15.
Yeah, no, that's not one of those minor.
All cultures are equal, Steve.
That's not. Do we know that he's a migrant?
It says he's a black kid.
Is it just a black kid? It sounded like there was a different accent there.
Could be.
Could be.
Even then it would apply. I would say black culture is also not so great.
The fact that we live in a country where someone can do that and isn't executed, to me, when people say it's so sad, it's so like I feel like this isn't my country anymore. When ICE, they're deporting people here who just want a better life. That's the law. You can disagree with it. I just don't think it's cruel, certainly not to this degree. The fact that we live in a country where you can have a state where that can happen, people are defenseless, they can't fight back, and he may get a slap on the wrist. Those are the types of things that I find shameful in this country. And here's a big difference. What I find shameful in this country, it's very clear these are not representative of our country. It's not what our country was meant to be. If I could time travel, get into a DeLorean, go to any era other than the one we are now, and show them that, or have that scenario play out. You could go back to Founding Fathers, you could go to the Civil War, you could go to the Great Depression, and kill him in front of them. Not a single person would have a problem with it. I'd get a pat in the back and a thank you. Only in this era, in blue states today, does that happen. And it will be enabled, and it will be emboldened if there's a slap on the wrist. There needs to be a really, really strong deterrent. Now, we don't have a deterrent in New York of, hey, stand your ground, guy can be shot.
Mamdani wants to redefine the word violence.
Yeah.
I bet he would file that under nonviolent.
Send in a social worker.
Well, he didn't rape her.
Right.
She just refused to give him the phone number, so he just kind of he acted out. Bookmark that post. Bookmark that video for a few years from now.
It's an understandable response, of course.
That guy's killed by a police officer, and they march for him.
And the same people, by the way, the same people who will say, well, he's a minor and a slap on the wrist, they will act like you are a barbarian if you say that man should be buried where he stands. Also, I don't believe that you never put your hands on a woman if you have women acting like animals and they're physically attacking you. They will say, oh, so you think it's okay to hit a woman? But they'll give a light sentence to someone who actually is a predator and goes out and abuses women. It's really simple. It's natural laws, natural rights. You have the God-given right to self-preservation, you and yours. And that also includes, by the way, basic expectations of society. You don't get to slam and stomp a victim who is in no way being physically violent. You don't get to do that.
Trying to
get
away.
To die. You get to die.
Now, if someone had ran up and slammed and stomped this guy, yeah, I'm cool. After he did this, 100%. But the initial slam and stomp, absolutely not. All she did was embarrass him by saying, no thank you, or even if she said, fuck no, or ew, who cares? Find someone you're into. And this is what I keep saying. If someone doesn't like you, or isn't your speed, or you're not their speed, move on. Don't try to force someone to like you. Certainly don't force someone to love you. People grow apart. People find their ways back to each other. People, there's all kinds. And there's, all the things where they say there's plenty of fish in the sea or whatever, you'll find yours. That's absolutely true. Unless you're this guy. Hopefully this guy will find some big burly bubba when he does finally go to jail for a long time.
And if you're a woman being physically aggressive with a man who is trying to avoid it, you get to deal with physical consequences. We act like we don't understand it, but the same people who enable actual rape culture. How do you know? Because when you see that, what does the left do? What does the left do when completely unfettered? Look to the UK. Look to Europe, where they tolerate those people. Not what does the Democratic Party do in the United States with checks and balances? That is everywhere in Europe because people are defenseless. That is everywhere in Canada, right? And if it's not rampant crime now, it will be once they figure out that they can get away with it. I do not want to live in a society where you don't have the checks and balances, that you do not have the ability to preserve your life, and then you have a judicial system predicated on equity that will give him a slap on the wrist. The fail-safes that we are supposed to have as a society, they don't exist in blue states with blue policies on crime, with blue policies on immigration, with blue policies across the board. You know what happened in Texas if that guy got shot, buried where he stood? Nothing. Probably less paperwork for the cops.
I'll be honest with you. That was my daughter.
I'd kill him by any means necessary.
That kid's parents would be dead.
Any means necessary.
Would be dead.
Any means necessary if that was my daughter. Thank God she's still alive.
Yeah.
Don't care. Any means. Would you be a vigilante? Yep. Yes, I would. If that was my daughter, yes, I would. I would. I don't think that's shocking. I'm tired of acting like this is shocking. I'm tired of people acting like, oh, well, you shouldn't say that out loud. Why f***ing not? Why not? My stomach turned watching it. My stomach wouldn't turn if I watched a bullet travel through his dome. It wouldn't. It genuinely wouldn't. I'd feel better. I would be happier. The happiest scenario obviously would be that not happening. Would be her living.
He's coming from a place
him
of
assuming
right
room
now.
temperature as soon as humanly possible. And if you feel that way, and if you think that way, guess what? So did every man since the beginning of time up until the 21st century in blue states, and even most of those people are faking
I mean,
it.
he definitely would have gone
Because the
through one of
same
windows of
judge,
the
if it's
car
a man who gives a slap on the wrist, and probably a woman, if she has a daughter, gives a slap on the wrist, would think the exact same as you if it was their daughter. I will leave it on that note. F these people. I hope he gets shot. Hey, if you're still...
All right, real quick, going back to...
The yes votes stand at about 51%. The no votes stand at about 48%. That's just a 3-point difference in Virginia, whereas you defeated your Republican opponent in the governor's race by more than 15 points just last year. Were you at all surprised that the margin of victory this time wasn't larger?
I wasn't. Virginia is a purple state, and in my election in November, that was the outlier number. I was campaigning all across the state for a long period of time.
So she just admitted out of her own mouth that Virginia is a purple state. So let's think about this. She just admitted that Virginia is a purple state. And now she's working to redistrict that state to make sure that Democrats get 90% of representation in the House. It's a purple state. Democrats get in control, and they're going to hijack the system to ensure that they get 4 extra seats, completely decimating Republican representation.
They would have 10 out of 11 seats.
These people don't care about democracy. They don't care about fair. They don't care about morality. They care about winning. Here's another example of how they care about winning. Watch what she was saying when she was running.
Short answer is no. Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
So let's go through this. Let's make this clear. I'm going to take you.
And you'll see this a lot. People are just openly lying. And a lot of them are being more open with it because they've deemed Trump a liar even when he's telling the truth. Like if he lies, I'll even say it if I've caught him in a lie or caught him saying something differently, which usually depends on who he's been talking to most recently. But people are just openly lying. People like Hassan Piker saying that lying is OP and that people should lie to get elected. Now, people are talking about, it started in Hollywood. They're talking about, don't talk about all the things that we're doing in movies. Just go back to talking about movies like we used to, and then we'll just do the things to movies anyway. That way they'll watch it, and we'll have a great opening weekend, at least. Politicians are doing the same thing. They're talking about openly lying and then just getting in office and being as extreme as possible. Running as moderates, like Biden did, like this lady did.
You through these steps. First step, she's running. She says, have no plans to redistrict Virginia. This allows more moderate people to feel more comfortable voting for her. Then she wins the election. Within 30 days, she signed the legislation enabling mid-decade redistricting. Within 30 days. It was actually about 20 days. And now we're looking at her on CNN talking about the victory that they're having with their redistricting vote, with a nice little smile on her face. They do not care about being moral. They do not care about being virtuous. They
Also, federal judge put the kibosh on it so far. We'll keep you posted on that.
To ensure that they win. Winning is the priority. That's all that matters. And what they kind of did is they set up a precedent that, hey, if you're in a purple state and you get control, you might as well just max that thing out as much as you can to get as many seats in the House as you can. Don't worry about any of that. Just max it out. They're kind of setting that precedent. It's different if it's like Texas or California or Florida, you know, like a state that's not purple. It's kind of more understandable. When you do it to a purple state, on top of that, they actually didn't do this process right. They skipped, or they did not do 5 of the required things for constitutional amendments in that state. I'll likely be covering that in an email I'll send out either probably today or tomorrow.
And hopefully I'll catch that one. But yeah, you also have to think, Texas, they didn't really do this. The blue states, or the blue districts, they made more blue. In the red districts, they made more red. They added a red district because population. But all they did was establish, and they didn't draw any of these crazy swiggly lines. If you look at any solid blue, been blue for a long time states like California, like Minnesota, like Illinois, like any of the northeastern states, which aren't as blue as you would think they are. And even California is 30% red. Illinois is about 35-40% red. The way they do these districts, there will never be another Republican in any kind of office for the most part. And it's perfectly fine. But then Texas does it, and then they're just like, oh, well, they did it one time. Let's do it 1,000 more times.
So today is the day. It's officially happened.
This.
The Good Herb has finally been rescheduled from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And it happened just a few days after 420. And one day after I broke the news that it will actually happen. So let's just get straight on into it.
The live desk, I'm getting the
And yes, this has happened. I've officially verified it.
breaking news. This is a big deal and a major policy shift on cannabis. The Trump administration just signed an executive order reclassifying state-licensed medical marijuana as a less dangerous drug. We are watching live at the White House this morning. It was just signed by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, I need to note here, it won't legalize marijuana federally for recreational use under U.S. law, but it does change the way it's regulated. And it's shifting licensed medical marijuana from Schedule 1, which is the top restricted level, to the less strictly regulated Schedule 3. This is a major move. Advocates had been calling for this major policy shift for a long time, saying cannabis never should have been treated like heroin by the federal government, which heroin is a Schedule 1 drug. We need to learn a lot more about what's in stake here, but it's going to give licensed medical marijuana operators a major tax break and ease some barriers to researching cannabis. I'm watching for new.
And let's get into the differences between Schedule 1 and Schedule 3. Schedule 1, as far as medical use, none. All the states who have legalized it medicinally are doing so against federal law, which means at any time, any president, any federal entity can just say, oh, let's go, raid whatever state that's doing this. Especially recreationally, but absolutely medicinally too. Now with Schedule 3, these drugs have been recognized for medical applications and are routinely used in treatment. Schedule 1, as far as abuse dependency potential, Schedule 1 is high potential for abuse, leading to severe psychological or physical dependence, whereas Schedule 3 is moderate to low potential for physical, psychological dependence. Legality and access. Schedule 1, generally illegal to possess, buy or distribute. They are not available by prescription except for strict authorized research purposes. Schedule 3, legal with a valid prescription from a licensed healthcare provider. And examples. Right now, Schedule 1 drugs include heroin, LSD, marijuana until this, ecstasy, peyote, and psilocybin, which is mushrooms. Schedule 3, ketamine, anabolic steroids, testosterone, Tylenol with codeine, less than 90 milligrams per unit, and then whatever Suboxone is. But yeah, that's it's kind of crazy.
Reaction this morning, not only from the White House, but from the acting attorney general to explain his reasoning for doing this. But the president told his administration back in December he wants them to work as quickly as possible to reclassify marijuana. That has now been signed this morning, and we're going to keep watch for updates here.
So back last year, when President Trump signed that executive order to reclassify the good herb, everyone was waiting to see what happened. And as I said then, I think it's a good first step to potentially descheduling and at the very least breaking that stigma. And what we've seen since then was a really slow walk approach. So much so that President Trump said it himself at that executive order signing ceremony last weekend when he signed that order relating to those psychedelic drugs. And he said, they're slow walking me under scheduling. You guys, you're gonna get it done, right? Please get it done. And within a few days, it was done. Todd Blanche has made that signature. He signed the order, and it's all completed. Have a look.
Many months and years covering this whole process and has been hearing from a lot of investors who've been looking for a way forward on this. Nathan, it appears to finally be happening. This has been long in the making, to the point where President Trump last Friday in that event said, they're slow walking me on rescheduling. So what changed?
So I think this was the president essentially telling the Department of Justice to move forward here. And it's really interesting to see what happens over the next day or so, because, you know, obviously this report says that they're going to reclassify marijuana. We don't disagree with that. We actually think reclassification is coming. But it's important to know that, at least on the specifics, are they moving straight to a final rule, or are they restarting the process that's largely been delayed? And this is the process of going through an administrative hearing, having more comment periods. It's really important to note. So if we get this final rule and say it comes out tomorrow, you know, President Trump has sort of skipped a lot of the process here. And that's why we think it will actually open up to lawsuits. Now, these lawsuits we still have to see what, you know, what courts and so forth will say. But it could open it up to lawsuits.
Now, with pretty much everything that President Trump does, there are lawsuits. There are people who just don't like him as a person, and they fight back against everything that he does, no matter if it's good or bad. But what we're seeing right now is that acting AG Todd Blanche has signed that order this morning, when a lot of you guys were sleeping. And according to this, under the decisive leadership of the President of the United States, the Department of Justice is delivering on its promise to improve American healthcare. And this includes immediately rescheduling FDA-approved marijuana and state-licensed marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. It also involves ordering a new expedited hearing with deadlines set to fully reschedule the good herb. Fully reschedule it altogether, which I think is good. And also, these actions will enable more targeted, rigorous research into the good herb's safety and efficacy, expanding patients' access and treatments, empowering doctors to make better informed healthcare decisions. And here we have Todd Blanche signing that document. So let me know what you guys think about this. This is big news. It came out this morning, but there's a lot of changes that can come out of this executive order. And that's exactly what we're going to get into next. So have a look at this.
In particular, this does not make it federally legal, nor does this really change how banks are going to operate towards marijuana businesses. There's a bill out there called the Safe Banking Act. It really hasn't had any momentum in this Congress, and we don't think it's going to actually come back or pass. So what happens here is that these companies, yes, there's additional M&A opportunities and they get a lower tax relief, but really what they want is the ability to get into institutional or get institutional investment here. And that's really not what's going to happen. I mean, marijuana is a very tough business, and big tobacco companies have been very, I'd say hesitant to get into this space, because when you tax something, you put a different, more regulations on it and so forth like that, it makes it a costly product. And when you're competing against stuff that people can just get off the street, it's a very difficult business here. So even though that this is a win if it moves forward, it's certainly a win for the marijuana industry, and it gives additional color towards that idea of legalization. We just don't think legalization is something in the cards for the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to remain at the state level.
Now, this is something...
And that's okay. Look, it doesn't matter. And it drives me crazy that people want to get the full thing all at once. Things don't always work like that. But if you make baby steps, or even just start at a walking pace towards a positive direction for these things, that's all you need. Rather than for the last 50 years talking about it and nothing happening, because people want to do it all at once. Because they're like, okay, we've got people who are on board, we've got big politicians named on it, we've got, celebrity endorsements or this or that or whatever. Woody Harrelson has a head shop. But then they try to get everything. They want to decriminalize it, they want to make it legal, they want to get everyone who has been arrested for it taken out of jail, all in the same bill. This is stupid. This is absolutely retarded. This is not the way to do things. That's a horrible face to pause him on. I apologize, Mr. Sir. You look like you look like the grandson of the guy from the Cluckin' Bell or whatever from Breaking Bad. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but Giancarlo Esposito. But yeah, people will try to do it all at once. Do all of these things that should happen at some point. But then you get people like, oh, well, if we decriminalize it, it's not fair for people who've been arrested for it. True. But you have to start with the base. You have to, one, take it down to scheduling, which is finally happening now. You have to decriminalize it or make it legal on the federal level, which could happen fairly soon after this if people only try to do that as the step. There could be a step in between there. And then you can worry about letting the people out of jail. Should it all happen at once? In a perfect world, yes, but that's not where we live. We have to take the steps. Okay? If we try to do this all at once, people will find something in the bill to complain or cry about, which is what has happened for the last frickin' forever. I don't know how people are so stupid or up their own ass that they cannot understand these simple facts. But anyway, let's continue and give this guy's face a rest.
That I've said in the past, this is not equal for legalization, but rather it will allow a lot of research, it will help to break the stigma, and it'll also give tax relief to certain companies, not all of them, but some of them. And it'll also help in terms of banking, in that banks may be a little less hesitant to do business with some of these companies. They may not fully do it, they may not be fully on board, but they may be a little more receptive, a little less hesitant, if you will. Just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. We got that new exclusive femme line which literally just dropped. Grab it now before it's all gone. And if you happen to be, while this does signal a massive shift at the federal level, a green light, it does not signal a green light for full recreational. And that's something that a lot of folks need to pay attention to. And something else that a lot of folks need to pay attention to is that if you're a truck driver or a safety sensitive worker, these issues may still need to be worked out.
Yes. Really, quite an improvement. What does that really do, though, for someone in your business?
Well, I mean, it's going to be huge for us. Schedule 1 basically means there is 0 medicinal benefit, right? Schedule 3 will open cannabis up for research. So it's not going to be legalizing cannabis, but it's a step towards legalization.
Yes,
so
steps.
What it's going to do
steps.
is it's going to open up research and studies, things like banking, services that we have never been able to have in the cannabis industry.
Well, what does that mean? So you have access to different industries. You can do business with different industries that you otherwise wouldn't have because of the schedule.
Well, things like banking, right? Because cannabis is federally illegal, most banks will not do any sorts of business with anything involved with cannabis, right?
So what does this do now when it changes the schedule? Now you can start doing business.
Correct, because it's not a Schedule I narcotic.
So no matter how you split it, there are a lot of benefits that can come out of this whole thing. A lot of folks, medical patients and veterans may be able to get increased access. A lot of these folks will no longer feel ashamed of using these products because the stigma is being broken. But I gotta say, just a few weeks after Pam Bondi was replaced with Todd Blanche, we got this whole thing done. That's truly remarkable. Have a look.
Some breaking news now from Washington, D.C. on the future of the marijuana industry here and across the country. In the last hour, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announced that state-licensed medical marijuana is being reclassified from a Schedule I to a less restrictive Schedule III drug. That means that cannabis will no longer be treated the same as harder drugs like heroin. For us here in Washington State, where recreational marijuana is already legal, this opens the door for more cannabis research without fear of federal prosecution and opens up financial pathways for dispensaries to work with banks. Only 2 states, Idaho and Kansas, still ban marijuana outright.
And here's the big thing. Like I said previously, President Trump's executive order to reclassify from Schedule I to Schedule III could be the kick up the butt that a lot of these states need to finally legalize. And you guys just heard about Idaho. Idaho is one of those states that are really dragging their feet. And according to this, the petition to legalize the good herb in Idaho has reached over 100,000 signatures.
Which is funny because Idaho sucks. And sorry if you're from Idaho, but you would know. Idaho sucks. You should be able to smoke weed there.
And with this rescheduling, we could see a real push over there. Check it out.
Could be on your ballots this November. The Natural Medicine Alliance of Idaho confirmed its petition legalizing medical marijuana has more than 100,000 signatures. It would allow the use of medical cannabis for certain patients. It would cover conditions like cancer, AIDS, epilepsy, and Alzheimer's. To reach the ballot, the petition needs the support of at least 6% of registered voters in the majority of districts across the Gem State. That means more than 70,000 verified signatures are required. The group's leader says people can still volunteer to help, and they are still pushing for people to sign in every district.
So there's so much to unpack here over the coming months. This is massive news, a huge win for cannabis in my opinion, simply because of breaking the stigma. I know a lot of folks have concern about Big Pharma coming in, about it affecting home grows, but personally, I'm not sure if it'll affect things in already fully legal states. But for me, it's a real big change that a lot of folks have been waiting for such a long time now, especially considering the fact that it was 4 months ago when President Trump signed that executive order.
New this morning, President Trump's acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, signed an order reclassifying state-licensed medical marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The move shifts medical cannabis from Schedule I to Schedule III, giving it the same classification as drugs like Tylenol with codeine. Now, this order does not legalize marijuana, but it does allow medical marijuana companies to deduct business expenses on federal taxes for the first time. It also removes barriers to cannabis research and legitimizes medical marijuana programs in 40 states.
So guys, this is massive news. Let me know where you guys stand on all this. Everything that we've discussed in today's video. We told you guys that it was going to happen yesterday. Turns out it happened 24 hours later. Today is Thursday, literally 3 days after 420. So it's fantastic. Let me know where you guys stand on everything. Do you guys think it's a good thing? Do you guys think it's a bad thing? Did you guys think it'll ever happen? Did you guys?
It's absolutely a great thing. And no, I never thought it would happen. Yes, dude, I told you I'd love to collab. Just hit me up on X. But anyway, guys. Yes, it's a great thing that marijuana has been rescheduled from Schedule I to Schedule III. Let's see if a state like Texas, if it affects the landscape. Has the Texas governor or Texas attorney general said anything about if it's rescheduled federally, that it would affect their decision as to whether or not to legalize it medicinally in Texas? tragic. Yeah, Ken Paxton's the worst. Yeah, they haven't so much said anything. I mean, I've heard a few rumors here and there that they have, but according to this, they have not, which sucks. You wouldn't think that a state like Texas would get behind states like Oklahoma and Arkansas when it comes to these things. I used to love to smoke. I don't anymore, mostly just because I'm old and it reminds me of that a little too much. But anyway, what do you guys think? What do you think about any of the stories that happened there? Drop, conversation down in the comments, and we'll talk about this. I answer every comment, if not in the video. I usually pass back through some of these when I get notifications for them. Yeah, dude. Hit me up. But in the meantime, this has been Alfie Animus for the Associated Guest, signing out. You guys have a great weekend. No show this weekend. I've got something for work, but we're going to start fresh back